Terry just went and had scope surgery, correct? In Watertown. So like middle of December will be the extent of when Terry will be ready. So think of Terry not being a senior, not being able to play and start out right away. Let's see, we got Aaron, yes. Brian. Parents here? Okay. Kurt. Mike. Both parents, okay. Cody. Both parents? Mom, okay. Scott. Both parents, yes. Jerry. Both parents? Okay. Mark.
Yeah.
Parents, yes. Chris Wadgy. Chris. Both parents? Mom, okay. Chris. Your dad. Travis. Both parents? Just mom? Myron.
Yep.
Okay. Stephanie.
Yep.
Both parents? Shannon. Corey. Both parents. Brian. Brian. Okay. Jeremy. I know
Yeah.
both parents are at. Jason.
Yep.
Okay. David. Okay. Gary Raybon. Okay. Derek. Yes. Grant. Yes. Tony Steffen. Okay. Lane Jaconi.
Yep.
Okay. Brian Tweed. Yep. Billy O'Donnell's going to be gone. And Tony Timmons. Tony Timmons. Okay, we got it. There's Tony. We sent the letter home, and the main emphasis was to get both parents here so we can talk about some things and kind of get started on the right foot and get a good positive attitude started, get a good basketball atmosphere started. Hopefully, this helps. So, through the course of this meeting, if you have any questions or concerns, bring them up now and let's talk about them as a group and get it all hashed out so we can start Monday and start working and obtaining some goals that we need to obtain, whether it be individual or team-wise. So if you got any concerns or any questions about anything, about our program that we run here, about what I do, if it's good or bad, let's take care of it right now so I don't make the mistake. So I don't get you mad at the middle of the season and something negative starts happening. Let's take care of it right now, while everybody here knows what's going on. Naturally, things persist through the season that we need to take care of, and we'll do that. So let's get started here. As the kids are filling those out, first before I start, you guys got any questions on those cards? Okay. Start out with, I'd like to welcome everybody here. And this is our basketball meeting. We have one every year. Some of the parents here have listened to me for 4 years, 3 years. Hopefully I enlighten you on a couple of things that are different. And hopefully this is very positive for the Deuel High School boys basketball program. So if you're warm, go ahead and take your coats off. Go ahead and do that now. Now, to start out with, we decided this year that we're going to have the kids buy their own shoes. Now, that's not saying Coach Casper told you to buy a $120 pair of shoes, because I told the kids they can play basketball in boots if they want. My point is saying is that it was up to you to get the shoes that you wanted to. Now, I know when you do that, it's kind of hard because you don't get all the same kind of shoes, but every kid has different kind of feet too. So if you got a pair of shoes, if you're happy with them, just make sure you keep your receipt. If there's something that happens to them, breaking out or tearing apart or something like that, you got to take them back to the company and we'll give you a new pair. And don't give they should give you a new pair. Don't give your shoes back until you get a new pair of shoes, because then the kid's got to wear a brand new pair of shoes for a game or something. It's going to be very hard on his feet. So let him get his new ones broken before you ship the old ones back. Now, we ordered shooting shirts and things like that. If they ordered a practice jersey, it was 20 bucks, and a shooting shirt was 20 bucks. Now, I know that's expensive, but if you go buy a pair of jeans, they're like 50 bucks now. A shirt's 30 bucks. They got their name on the back. I wasn't too happy about that because I always do some scouting and things like that when they always have their name on the back when they're warming up. The kids wanted them, so I went with it. So you as parents, if you want to pay that right now, you can. It's 40 bucks if you bought both. So before you go today, if you want to pay that, you can. If not, send it with your kids to school. So before you go, you can do that. Otherwise, does anybody got any questions about things like that? Anybody got any questions on the shirt and shoes or anything? No questions? Let's continue on. First of all, to start out, new assistant coach this year, Coach Dennis Strait. He's from Elkton. He was 3 years at Elkton, the JV coach there. I went to college with Coach Strait. He's a real good friend of mine, and I hope that brings some good positive relationships between the kids and the parents and everything, and I hope we work as kind of one big family. I've known Coach Strait for a long time. During the summer, we're probably best of friends, and hopefully we can get some things that's very positive and have some fun. And I really believe that this year is probably one of the years where we had an assistant coach that actually wants a job. Now, I'm not saying that disregard to anybody that I've had, but I'm really saying that I think this is the best assistant coach I ever had. So I can't say enough good things about Coach Strait. So he's a JV coach, he's a 9th grade coach, and he's a 7th grade boys basketball coach. And we figured it out. We just had a coaches meeting before we came here, and he's got 72 games that Coach Strait has to sit through. How many quarters is that, Coach? A lot. 4 times 7. It's a lot of points and a lot of turnovers. So bear with in the fact that Coach Strait has to look through, or gets to look through 72 games, and it gets long, you know, if things are negative. So we'll talk about some things too. Myself, for the new people here, my name is Tim Casper, and this is my 5th year here, and I'm a graduate from DSU, and so is Coach Strait. We both went to college together. So that's a little bit about the coaching staff. We still have some other coaches that we need to introduce, and it's Todd Boyd and Larry Goodrow. They're in charge of the elementary program that we're just kind of getting going now. It's kind of in the 2nd year. We're getting some things going there. We're getting the schedule setting up. I think we're kind of getting some things and getting a base set. And Roger Hansen is going to have the 8th grade group. So we have 2 junior high coaches. So that kind of rounds out the whole basketball program and coaching staff. Now, a little bit about our season we need to talk about real quick. Each year we have new challenges and new players. Now, we've heard a lot of things about last year and things like that, and naturally past is very important because it kind of sets base. But we have new players this year. They have different kind of attitudes, different kind of work ethics, and they're just different people. So for me to do the same exact thing that I would do last year would be bad for the kids. Naturally, some of the things I'm going to do are going to be the same. But the simple fact is the kids do a good job in it. But I'm willing to change some things. And I have. In fact, 2 weeks after last season, I wrote about 4 or 5 pages of things that I need to do different and get done before this season starts. While it was fresh in my mind. I had a little tape recorder. I told myself things that I need to do to make this team a success. Now, is this team more talented than last year's team? I'm not going to compare them. I don't do that. What we have here is a group of kids in high school that are willing to play basketball and put their time in. And it's up to me as the head coach to mold them all together and do the best job we can. Now, it doesn't matter talent-wise who's played, things like that. We have to be realistic in some things saying. A couple of these kids had varsity experience last year is all. Everything they're going to say for the first game they're going to be playing varsity is going to be new to them. We might start out a little sluggish. If we don't, I'm going to be the happiest guy in the world. So what I'm saying in front of the whole group is here, don't get negative. Don't expect too much right away. As the seasons progress, hopefully we get better and we improve. And that's what coaching is all about, improving and getting to the last point where we get into districts where we're tough and we're a contender. Now, by no means am I saying we're going to give up the first 5 games. That's malarkey. So if you read that, you're way off base, and you're missing my point. point is saying, I've heard some people say, we've been waiting for this team for years. Well, I'm waiting for when I have my kid and waiting for those years too. So naturally, you as parents, it's very important that your son does a super job when he gets to be a junior and senior. Because you've been waiting for him for 10 years. And that's great because that's what it's all about. But you have to understand that there's parents in other communities that are waiting also. Now, last year I think around the vicinity there were some good basketball teams. I really think this year it's very even. And I kind of think things are up for grabs. Now, if I just brainstorm here some good teams, I think Howard's going to be top in our conference in the LCC. Now, if you just read Gary's PI in the paper, he said that we're in two conferences. We're in the NEC and the LCC. The NEC is up north. Now, the decision, because we're in the NEC, here's the decision why we decided to join the NEC. It's a Northeast Conference. It's where you got Sisseton, Roncalli, Clark, Milbank, Webster, all the tough big A schools. We are A. There's nothing we can do about that. We're a small A school. We have to play against Milbank. We have to do things against Milbank. We have to play big schools like Roncalli. But to play big schools in the A division to get anywhere to a district, region, or state competition. So we must, and we should play them during the season. Now, as a coach standpoint, you get 40 points for a win if you beat them in an A, or in a B, and 50 points if you beat an A school. So if we keep on playing these small schools, we're not getting anything out of it besides a W. So if we play higher class schools, we're going to be a higher class team. Now, granted you're going to take your lumps in the NEC. It's long traveling distance, yes. But you're always going to have a schedule year in and year out. Like this year, we don't play Castlewood. We don't play Elton. We don't play Grant Deuel. Because we're in these two conferences. Now, I don't know if that's good or bad. I really don't. There's two sides of it. You play the tough competition and then be tougher at districts, or do you play the easier competition, get the wins, and have the kids be positive going into different districts or something like that. So there's two sides to that. So my main point is just to tell you that we're in two conferences. Now, I know there's some kids that stop here. I know there's some kids that have to go to their Lutheran League or things like that. If you have to, just get up and go, because that comes first. You have to go with things like that, go ahead. So about our season, there's new challenges. There's new philosophies that I want to take care of, and I've talked to the kids about some of them. We have some new defense, and new zone offense, and new plays just for these kids. So some things are a little different. Now let's take a look at our book real quick. Coach, you can pick up those cards if you want. If you're by someone to look at a book, go ahead and do that. Anybody not have a book close to them to look on? One of my basketball books, kids' book. Okay, let's go over the roster real quick. That's Roman numeral 3. As you can see, we have 2 seniors out this year that were not out last year, and that's Aaron and Brian. Everything as if they came out last year. I'm starting out this year as if I don't know any of the kids. So right now, as far as I'm concerned, everybody has the same talent. And that's how I'm going to go to practice with an open mind. They decided to come out with this year. I work everybody together, and I put the best 5 on the court that I can, no matter what. So you can see the seniors. You see we have juniors. There's 10 juniors that are out. Paul Sporseth and Troy Keenan decided as sophomores not to come out. And Brian Rook's name is not on there, and Brian decided to come out after he indicated to me last year that he wasn't. Freshmen, let's see, we had a couple freshmen like Matt Morgan. He moved away. What were some other ones listed there? Jeremy Winter, Ryan Wells. So we have 7 freshmen involved in the program. And I just talked to Mr. Hanson in the 8th grade. I think there's 17 8th graders and about 9 7th graders that are out. So there's quite a few kids. And next year, you know, you're going to have 15 9th graders running around with all these kids. There's going to be quite a few kids. They Great, so that's the roster. You see our stats and cheerleaders and managers are all listed there. Bus schedule, the next one. This is approximate. This is in your book, so if you have to pick up somebody out in front of the gym or expected time to be home, something like that, go by this. Now this is approximate. Depends on if we stop and have a couple Burger King burgers or something like that. So this is approximate, and you can see how far we have to go. All this is listed from the school here, so you can evaluate your own time. Basketball revisions for 90-91 season, there really isn't any to speak of. I mean, there's no real editorial change or rule changes that you as parents don't already know. Let's look at the schedule real quick. That's Roman numeral number 7. Now, going over the schedule, we see we have our games listed for the 90-91 varsity boys basketball season. We start out Tuesday against Esseline. Then we get into Webster, Sisseton, Hamlin, South Shore, PO Classic, and that rounds out our December schedule. Now, we do play Dubrook in the PO Classic, and that is on the 27th. The practices during the break and things like that, I ask the kids when everybody can be there, and I schedule the practices. Most likely, like during the break and things like that, it'll be just for top 15 or something like that. Naturally, if any of the other kids want to come in, that's great. That's great. So we'll get into that as we go on. So there's the varsity schedule. 9th grade schedule. Let's talk about the 9th grade schedule one time. Now, there's 16 games scheduled for the 9th graders, counting like 3 tournaments, so a possible of 19 game schedule. If you have a player that plays in the freshman team, he's going to play 19 games. So when we go to a varsity match in a junior varsity game, whatever, and we're playing right here a JV game, and if your son doesn't get to play, remember, he has a 19-game schedule to get his playing time in. Now, as far as I'm concerned, speaking from the coach's aspect, if a freshman gets to play JV ball, that's gravy. That means he's a good player. And he will be brought up and play JV ball if he's good enough. If he beats out some of those sophomores, which could very rarely happen. Every year, it could happen. It could, depending on the player, depending on how much they progress. So remember this, parents and ball players. You 9th graders play 19 games. They're just for you 7. So if JV gate comes and you don't gain playing time, remember, you get your moment when we play 9th grade. That is yours. That's why we schedule 9th grade games, for you guys to get some playing time in. If you do get in a JV game, that's great. Be ready to go. It's a whole learning process. 7th, 8th, 9th, JV and varsity. And that's how we want to work the system. Now, does any parent have any question over that? Does everybody understand what I mean by that? Yeah.
We have something this year. Since we only have 7 freshmen, we may have a situation where, let's say, I hope it doesn't happen, but one of them is ineligible, or let's say someone gets injured with a sprained ankle. Now you're talking, we got 5 kids out there. We got to play 5 kids in the freshman game. If we're looking for another player, what I want to do is I want to go down to the 8th grade. And if I bring up an 8th grader, this 8th grader will not play more time than a freshman. I guarantee you. He will be on the bench. He will not start a freshman game. He will be brought in as a substitute because they have their game. The only reason I would play an 8th grader consistently in the 9th grade game would be because of, like I said, if we have somebody ineligible or if we have some kids hurt. But when you only have 7 kids, you got to think of a bench sometimes. A lot of times we get somebody in foul trouble, which we hope don't happen. Things like that, you know. You got to have somebody to put in because 4 players on the floor against 5, chances are you're going to get beat. So if we did bring up some 8th graders, that would be the situation. Like I said, I would not play them more than the freshmen because they have their game to be at home.
Now we do that, and I send a letter to the board members, and tell them what we're up against. Make sure they'll have approval from the board, Dr. Agers, Mr. Hanson, and you as parents will be the most important one. So if we do that, I'll probably send some letters home to the 8th grade parents Can they play ninth grade? If the parent says yes, they can, then that's what we're going to do. Now, remember what Coach said. They won't play as much as the ninth. It's just if we need somebody. So don't be, first time I said that, Grant Gower gave me the dirtiest look I ever had in my life. Oh God, here comes those eighth graders again. Okay? Each and every class has games scheduled, and that's for that grade. Now you get up into the JV level and the varsity level, it doesn't matter about grade. It matters about who has the talent. That's what it's about. Any question over the schedules? Let's continue on. Roman numeral number 8. This is an approval sheet. Deuel Cardinal basketball from Coach Castro to the parents and guardians. The 1999-1 basketball season is underway. This means your son will be participating until 6 o'clock every night except on game nights and some weekends. For their team goals, I'm asking you as parents and guardians to approve or disapprove your son shooting around after practice. The scheduled practice will be over about 5:45. That's going to be about 5:30. It's getting shorter and shorter as many years as I'm getting into it. Maybe I'm getting more organized or whatever. But I'm going to try and get down to 5:30. Because I think if we practice hard from 3:36 to 5:30, we can get it done. Maybe even sooner. So your kid might be coming home sooner. If he's not, you might want to check when practice time is over because he's probably messing around uptown. Okay? So all I want you to do is circle approve or disapprove. If you approve or disapprove your kid shooting around after practice, playing me one-on-one, playing a horse game, playing a 2-on-2 pickup game. Circle approve or disapprove. I need this from you. I will kick him out of the gym, by the way.
At what time?
What time do you want me to kick him out, Rita?
Time you're gonna be. I don't know, but the first thing to know this time.
When I leave,
Downtown or with you.
I have everybody out of there by 6 o'clock.
He's married now, so he'll probably be home soon.
5:30. Start at 6 then?
So, yeah, it's made every time I get home.
Oh,
Supper's at 5, and kids get home real soon.
Everybody's supposed to be out of the building by 6, but if some kid wants to shoot around, I'll have them call you. And they have to get it approved. Is that okay? All right, let's continue on. Next part. Now, this is kind of a serious note. So you as parents, help me out with this one. It says, what should a coach do? Not sure you can tell I came up with this because this might sound stupid, but hopefully I explain it a little better than what I wrote down here. It says, what should a coach do? In my years of coaching, I have had to make some tough judgments. I need some help on this one. The topic is athletes drinking. If I hear of your child or suspect that your child is drinking or getting into trouble, you as parents want to know about it. I do not respond until that rumors are substantial reason for a response, and do not question rumors. But if another staff member indicates that there is a problem, I will follow up on it with your approval. I just want to know if you want to know as parents. A phone call is all it takes to stop a problem and save a big problem from becoming even bigger. At the present time, we have some athletes who are drinking during the season and school year. This will not happen, hopefully. I should have put hopefully during the basketball season. Circle approve if you want me to contact you, and circle disapprove if you want to handle the problem yourself. Both parents sign. Now let me explain myself here. Here's one thing I want to get straight. I'm putting this down because I care so much about it. It's just not about putting a piece of lead through a rim. It's about following rules. It's about following what we're supposed to deal with. It's about having a positive attitude. It's about being healthy. That's what it's about. It's not about seeing how many guys you can get to drink 6 beers after a game or come in warm-ups and having a couple beers before the game starts. It's not about that. And if I'm the coach of the sport, I don't want that to happen. And if it does, I just might say that's it, because it's not worth it, because we're just beating our heads up against the wall. Now my whole point of this thing is this. I just want to know if you resent me calling you if I hear a rumor not a rumor, but if I hear something that's substantial that we should have to deal with. Now, most of the problems I can deal with myself. But if there's something that we need to take care of, example, We had a team here, we were 9-3 at one point. 9-3. Something happened to the team where someone got caught for drinking, and we finished the season 10-10. Coach's fault? I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe I didn't handle the situation very well. Maybe I should have had this that season. I don't know. We were 9-3 at one point, finished the season 10-10 after this happened. Now, do you think that makes a difference? I think so. I really do. Now, I'm not going with what I've done in the past or things like that because I know times change and I want to change with the times. But this is one thing I think that we need to be concerned about. Now, if you approve of this, you know, if you let your kids drink or something like that, then you should talk to me. You know, if you think it's okay, then talk to me as a person, talk to me as a coach, so I know I can handle that situation. But if you don't, then help me out. So circle whatever you can. Coach, can you help me explain it any better than I have? Yeah, you guys know what I'm up against or what I'm trying to accomplish here? Example. I'll give you an example. I hear some kid was drinking, but he didn't get caught. Should I call you and ask you did you know about it? Or where was he supposed to be at this present time? And you say, well, he's supposed to be at a friend's place. Well, he was at this other place. So you as parents at home would know that they handle the situation. And I can handle the situation before he does actually get into trouble or get something taken care of. So circle approve or disapprove, hand these in, I need it.
I think what we're saying, a lot of times you as parents don't know it yourself what's going on. And I know my folks always claim that they didn't know what I was doing in school half the time. You know, I know parents like to know these things, and especially if your kid is doing something that could cause harm to him, maybe you want to know about it. And maybe the kid getting in trouble in basketball practice isn't such a big deal, but I know a lot of the kids think, hey, if my dad's going to hear about it, then I'm going to get in trouble. You know, you're trying to stop a problem before it happens.
I'm not saying there's a real big problem, people. I just don't want it to happen. I mean, we're 8-6, and we're second in the conference. We got everything going our way. The kids are improving. They're working their butts off us, and boom, we have a couple kids get in trouble. You know, we're in deep hurt right there, because that's not good for a team. So, circle that. Next page. Take a look at the next page. Deuel Cardinal basketball. This just goes over and has you sign it, hand this in. If you approve, if your player orders a shirt, that you must pay for it. Because I've got stuck that say, I got some shirts at home that say someone's last name on it, I had to pay for it. That's why I didn't want the names on it. So, sign your name if you approve and hand that one in. You can just tear them out. You don't have to take the whole book apart. Okay, continuing on, you can see my philosophy there. You can see the team's philosophy, what I think assistant coaches should do, game reminders, Cardinal basketball, let's see. Let me give you a quick overview. Now, this book they have, I represent everything I have in this book. Everything I try and do and accomplish is in this book. All offenses, defenses, what my feelings are, how important is basketball, how important is Deuel High School basketball is in this book. And I told the kids the other day when we had our meeting, I said, if you read this book, if everybody in this room reads this book, it's going to make 3 basketball games to our advantage, 3 more wins to our season. There's some good things in here. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence in reading them all, but you can see where I'm coming from if you go through this. Now, it takes me a long time to get this together. And I have girls for a week putting pages in and taking pages out. So I represent what's in here. Oh, let's see. Let's turn to the rules, and I'll tell you what page you're on. Turn to page 46. It says basketball like this. Page 46. Page 46. Practice starts Monday. Our state tournament is in Sioux Falls, March 7th, 8th, and 9th. You can see in 1991, our first game, our district, our A district, our A region, our A state is all listed there on page 46. Everything about our state basketball rules and regulations are in this next section here. Let's just point a couple things out. Turn to page 47. Now I talked to the kids about this tight situation underneath. Now a lot of kids like to wear those tights underneath their shorts. It is a technical foul if they hang lower than the short. So if they got a pair of black ones that they have that they want to wear, because a lot of kids like to wear them underneath because they just feel better than wearing a jock, and they do feel better than wearing a jock. Okay? Just cut them off maybe and sew them up so they don't hang lower. That's what I told the kids to do. Just cut them off and sew them so they don't unravel. So they can't do that. So don't let your kids do that. On the bottom of page 47, it says classifications and alignments. And we are Class A, and 1990 fall enrollment report was taken on September 27th. Now you can see the classification for 90, 91, and 92 are all listed here. So we are Class A to 93. Now, after this year, we might switch districts. We might go south and be with Flanderians, Arlington, and Sioux Valley. But they haven't decided yet. We don't know where we're going yet on that because of Wilmot going in or out, or D. Smith going in or out. D. Smith might be B next year. So I don't know if we're going to be with Hamlin, without Hamlin. Hamlin goes with us. I don't know. They haven't classified it up yet. So it might change after this year. But this year, this is the way it is. Turn to page 48. Nothing there that's relevant. 49. Now, something new this year. We have the 6-quarter rule. We have to fill out forms. Players can only play 6 quarters, and we have to fill out forms every time. And I guess the main thing is there that if they play JV, if they play 4 quarters, they can only play 2 quarters of varsity. So if they play 4 quarters and you think they should be in there, just make sure you know if they played 6 quarters or not, because we have to keep track of that. Turn to the next page. On the bottom it says Class A sub-state format. Now, our format for districts is just like the girls. And to sum it up, it's called sudden death. You play districts, you lose, you're done. You just keep on qualifying one more. Now we're getting closer to what I want. I want 8 teams to be in the region, which we have. Seed the region, play it off like a state tournament. Play 3 games and go. What I'm saying is you have your 8 teams. You seed the 8 by your schedule. Your number 1 seed plays your number 8. Your number 2 plays your number 7. You play it off just like a state tournament. You play 3 games. You play on a Monday, Tuesday, Friday, whatever. Whenever you get the gym, I guess. You get 8 schools going to a tournament. It'd be great. That's what I want. We're getting closer to that. So every time there's a vote up, that's what I vote for. Because I think that'd be great for our region. So right now it's called sudden death. When we lose, we're done. When you win, you keep going. Okay, turn the page. I touched on this a little bit already. I hate to be redundant, but remember, we are in 2 conferences this year, the NEC and the LCC, so we can go for 2 titles this year. Sisseton's going to be tough, and Aberdeen-Ron College is going to be tough in the NEC, the LCC, Hamlin, and Howard. I give Howard the nod. So there's two towns in each conference that you should be aware of. Naturally, we're going to be tough. Don't forget us. Turn the page. There's not too much listed there. I'm just flying through some of this stuff. Turn to page 77. Looks like this. There's probably 2 77s.
It was like 20.
67. 67. 77 seat. I switched everyone except mine. 67.
That's 67.
Okay, the only thing here is, let's look at our region. We are Region 1, District 2. I apologize if book got screwed up. My girls probably goofed it up, but I'll take the blame. I'll take the blame because I make them do it. District 1, you have Britton, Sisseton, Webster, and Wilmot. They are all in District 1. Now they'll play off. Top two teams will play each other. Then they'll be the district champion who will play the winner of our district. And our district has Clark, Deuel, Hamlin, and Millbank in there. So tough district, tough region. If you get out of there, you're going to go places. So that's who we play against. You can see the rest of the teams that are in our A division are listed, hopefully on the next page. No? Okay, turn to page 20. It goes from 67 to 20. That's the eligibility. It's kind of tough to read because I got this out of student handbook. Eligibility rules, state and local requirements. Now, we talked about these before. Just to be quick here, if someone gets caught for stealing, chewing, drinking, they're out of a sport for 5 days, starting with the first performance, whatever the sport is. The sport, the activity, if it's in the play, they're ineligible for that one. So if they get caught for anything like that the first time, that's what happens. Second time, they're out of the sport entirely. That's the school policy. How the eligibility goes for classes, I just asked Mr. Hanson this, so I need to look at my cheat sheet and figure it out here. If you fail at a quarter break, you're ineligible for 4.5 weeks. After that 4.5 weeks, you have 2 weeks to get your grade up. If you don't, you're ineligible to the next 9 weeks. I'll say that again. If you fail at a quarter, like the first quarter, first 9 weeks, the semester, third quarter, if you fail a required class, you're ineligible for 4.5 weeks, and after that 4.5 week period, you have 2 weeks to bring it up, and if you don't, you're ineligible for the whole 9 weeks. So you have to keep your grades up in the required classes. If you don't, you won't play. So that's basically these eligibility rules from our school, whether it be extracurricular things like that. Now, there's one area we need to talk about, and that's you as parents need to decide that between you and your players, is a curfew. Now, my job is to coach. It's not to babysit and tell them, and I'm not going to call them when they're going to be home or anything like that. So you decide when your kids should be home, and use your own discretion on when they should be home. So, what time I have to be home, hey, that's up to you. Now, my rules and reminders, let's take a look at those. And that's on page 23. Okay, let's take a look at my rules. There's a couple changes I had from last year. Everybody see them? On them? You must attend all scheduled practices. If you have to miss a practice, you must let me know in advance if you can. Notify me by telling me in person using a phone call. My number's in the phone book. I keep a daily attendance chart which keeps track of ball players' tardy excuse or unexcused. I believe if a ball player wants to practice hard, he must want to play hard. Be on time to all practices. Be at meetings and practice 10 to 15 minutes early. Well, this is mainly for the ball players too. When whistle blows, all dribbling and shooting, all that will stop. No profanity allowed. And I don't swear in practice. I mean, I try and limit that as much as I can. Naturally, sometimes I might say the D word or the H word or something like that. But I really try not to do that because I don't think that's too professional. Never criticize a teammate. Respect our team managers and trainers. Treat them as teammates because they are. Practice is to be a learning process. Concentrate on those things that make you a better basketball player. The harder you have work, the tougher it is to surrender. Loyalty is a virtue. What you do see here, let it stay here. So we're one big family here. And that's what I want to try and persist. Take pride in your work. You will play the way you practice. There's no shortcut to success. Dress neatly for practice and keep your clothes clean. And that's kind of up to the moms too. I know sometimes they just don't bring their stuff home. And boy, you get downstairs and it's just the wrestlers probably that stink, right? No. Basketball players do too if they don't get their stuff washed. If you need to be taped, get in the training room so we can take care of it. So if your child or your player is having trouble with blisters or something like that, we can take care of them. Now, if someone gets hurt, an example, Terry got hurt and he's dealing with his knee. And I can get a hold of a lot of doctors and a coach can get you in faster than maybe you can. I know that's not right, but a coach sometimes can get you in faster for an appointment than you can get in because we refer them to you. So who referred you? And if you as a parent say, well, the coach did, well, who is he? But if we call up and say, I'm the coach of this place here, I got this athlete, needs to get looked at right away, they'll try and get you in as quick as they can. And I always suggest getting a second opinion, especially if something major takes, and I always help you out the best I can to do the right thing. But the final decision is yours. Each practice schedule is posted in advance, so practice plans will be the same as last year, guys. They're going to be right up here. If you need to contact me, my number is listed there, 874-8287. And if I'm not at home, leave a message with my wife, and she'll take care of it. No, I'll get back to you. Number 19. This is different, guys. This is different. It says, 1 unexcused absence or 3 tardies means you miss a game. 1 means you miss a game. Not 2, not 3, not maybe 3. You don't have a new sheet? Yeah. Okay, it should be 1 unexcused absence or 3 tardies means miss a game. 2 unexcused absence or 5 tardies, you hand in your uniform. You must be dressed and out of 4 by 3:50 each day or you will be marked tardy. Number 20, always do your best. Don't give yourself an opportunity to look back and say, I wish I would have. If I follow these rules, you are a very successful person and player. Is what I put on by. Now, I hope that's not too negative, but we need to get some things straightened out. Any question over the rules or eligibilities? What do I consider an excuse or unexcused would be someone who just doesn't show up for practice and comes by the next day and doesn't have a very good excuse like from you. Coach, help me out with that.
Unexcused absence to me would have been the kid just doesn't tell you he's not going to be there and he's just not there and you have no idea where he is. And the next day they come to school and say, well, I had to go help my dad. You know, I realize kids have to work, but you know, if he knows he's got to help dad, just have the kid tell us that he's not going to be there. I realize a lot of kids have to work sometimes.
And a lot of times they won't be at practice that night, and they'll see me about 5 or 6 times in the hallway because I always drink coffee right here on the bench.
Yeah.
And they'll go by me 5 or 6 times and never tell me why they weren't at practice. Then they'll come up for practice and they'll come up to you and won't even look at you in the eye and say, I was at practice, I was at home, helping, doing something. I had to do something. Get it straightened out. Okay? Just come up and be honest with me.
It's real easy just to let us know first. It really is.
Or if you're sick or something like that, you know, I can't. But that's a good question. Any other questions on that? Okay, let's continue on. Awards, we switched some awards that were a little differently. I think basically the rest is self-explanatory. Now, you as parents, this book is going to be around a lot. And I told the kids if they don't hand this back in, how much it cost you guys? $25. $25. I'm kind of joking here. My point is saying that take care of the book. Now, there's some good things in here on how I feel. So in conclusion here, we talked about some rules. We talked about kind of what the things we want to take care of. and we talked about the kids. I don't know if I'm gonna make any cuts or not. I really don't. I might. Depends on how your kid progresses through the summer, how they worked over the summer, and depends on how many players are better than them. Naturally, if they're a senior or a junior, and there's 12 kids that are better than them, they'll probably get cut. Because I don't care who he is, if he's a good player, he's gonna play, no matter what age he is. And that's what I'm hired for, to put the best players on the court. So I hope that doesn't sound too negative. But if there's someone who is better than your kid, we just have to face up and say, hey, maybe basketball wasn't for me. So to kind of end on that, and in conclusion too, we signed some things. Hopefully everybody understands what you signed. If you didn't understand what I totally meant, talk to me individually as a person. Let me look over a couple things here. Make sure I talk about everything. Oh, one thing I want you to be aware of. This year I changed. I don't know if I'm going to go over to Gary or not. In fact, right now I don't plan on going over to Gary for 9th grade practice. Now there's only 2 coaches, there's 28 kids, and there's 2 facilities, so it's kind of tough. And when Coach Ray is gone for a 9th grade game, I have all the kids myself. So it's going to be a little tough, but I'd rather have someone there who's ready to go all the time. So to split up the kids, I don't know if we got much out of that last year or not. Maybe that was a poor coaching decision on my part. But I think the kids got more playing time, but I don't know. So we're going to try and put all the kids in the gym here, use Gary Gym when this one's being used, and the only thing I ask is you tell your kids that you don't race back from Gary. Last year we had kids racing back. It's scary. But we might use Gary Gym, but I don't plan on using it right now. Okay, last time, we have any questions over my program or what we talked about so far? Yes.
Yeah, you probably won't like it, but I'll ask it anyway.
Okay.
I have a problem with, I don't care whose kid it is, if you cut anybody off the team. I don't care if he's a sophomore, junior, senior, whatever, but I was understood this was a public school funded by public money. You're hired by those people. And I don't care if he isn't good enough to play in the game. If he wants to come and practice, that's your job to coach him. Am I wrong?
Nope, you're absolutely right. If it's my job to cut him, that's what my job is.
No, that's not the point. The point is he wants to play. You have to coach him. Maybe at the beginning of the year he ain't good enough. Maybe by the end of the year he could be.
That's my decision.
But
I know what you're saying.
But how can you tell a kid that wants to come out for sports that he's not good enough to play, don't come to practice? I have a problem with that.
I just tell him that there's 12 people ahead of him. It's my job to put the 12 best players in the varsity uniforms. If he's a junior or senior, there's some freshmen or sophomore that are better than him. That's what I do.
Well, what's wrong with him? Maybe he's not good enough to dress for the game, but can he come to practice and practice? Maybe someday he'll get
There might be some arrangements that we can make.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll never happen, but
Maybe not.
I have a problem with cutting the kid off of practice.
We can talk to it as an individual too. Okay, if it persists. Okay?
Well, whatever.
All right. Do you understand what I mean, though? And I
Well,
understand
yeah,
what you
but-
mean.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Any other questions? Any questions about the shoes or the shirts? Remember, they're $40 if you got 2 of them. Any question over the eligibility? Any question over training rules? All right. Ball players, room 71. Follow Coach Trey, go see a tape. Yeah, just leave it. Deuel Athletic Fund. Make the check out too. Deuel Athletic Fund. Not to me, next thing, just about 10 minutes here, we're just going to talk about this team and this year. And if the players aren't here, you know, we need to get some things straightened out. If you want to say something so we don't hurt their feelings, and I can say something so we don't hurt their feelings. Now, I have some mixed emotions about bringing some of this stuff up, but I think it's relevant and we really need to talk about it. The involvement of parents is very important in a successful program. You know, I really think it's positive that we have positive parents. I really think it's great that we have parents involved, and I really think it's important that we have parents concerned. I really think that's good. So to get some things straightened out here, I really believe, and I said this at my cross-country parents' night, parents are more important than coaches, bar none. They're the most important thing to your child as a parent, and the way that you bring them up, and the way what you tell them before the game, what you tell them after the game, because that sinks. They go to bed at night with your last comment. They probably remember what I said, especially if I got mad at them or something like that, but the last thing that you say to them, they remember when they go to bed. So if I could say something about parents and how important it is for a successful program, you know, I guess words can't explain how important it is. So I understand how hard it is to be a parent, and I understand the role of a parent is very important. Now naturally sometimes there's some things we need to be aware of. Areas that need to be cleared up. First thing I say, decisions I make are very hard and they must be done at the spur of the moment. During a basketball game, a situation, this is one thing that always happens. We have a player out there who hasn't been playing very well and has a couple turnovers or commits a foul and something that's bad, and I have someone go in for him. And they're sitting down at the bench and the ball goes back and forth about 3 or 4 times, and in the meantime they make about 6 points. And then all of a sudden the buzzer rings, there's a dead ball, and they come in for that player and they come down and sit down. And everybody says, well, what the heck's the coach doing putting him in for him? Well, I already made the decision before, so that's just an example about the spur of the moment thing. Now, I will never get mad at a player in front of a crowd and embarrass them. Never. And if I do get mad at a player, it's individually, down in the locker room. And I'm not a kind of coach that really gets mad. I'm a disappointed kind of coach that's saying, this is what it's got to be, this is the way I want it, this is what you need to do. You know, I'm not going to scream in his face and spit in his face and things like that. I don't think, that's not the way I am. So for me to embarrass your kid in front of a bunch of people, it's not going to happen. If there's something like that, I always substitute in, sit him down, and talk to him right there, and try and straighten it out there. I think that's the best way to handle it. Next thing, I feel I have a lot of heart for kids. Now, to be a teacher and to be a coach, you have to have a lot of heart. And I really think there is more to basketball than wins and losses. If I can teach these kids something about life, I think that's very important also. So I'm going to try and do both. I try and do that in all the programs that I coach in. And what I do, hopefully, is a good role model. What we do, Coach Strait and I, what we try and teach, hopefully it helps them further on in life. Besides just putting a piece of leather through a rim. Naturally, that's our ultimate goal. And I really think sometimes I care more than most of the parents know. For the simple fact is the things that happen in school, a lot of times you guys don't know what happens. Whether if a kid just flunked a test, if a kid just got dumped by his girlfriend or something like that, and he has to come to basketball practice the next 2 minutes after it happened right after school, you know, I have to handle that situation right away. And I try and put as much heart into that as I can. And then, like I said, I try to teach them more about basketball. Areas of concern, always be positive. Be a positive parent. Don't be negative if you can help it. If you have that little talk at the kitchen table after a game, be positive. Pick out the good things they did. Then maybe slip in a couple bad things or things you think that they can do to make it better. Because I used to do that. My dad used to do that. But I had super parents. They helped me out more than anybody. They really did. And they still helping me out right now. So always be positive. Next thing, number 2, I say, let me do my job. Now, granted, sometimes maybe there's probably better coaches in the world, yes. And I know there is. Tons of them. And I know there's worse coaches. But I guess you're stuck with me. And I try and do the best job I can. I really do. I try and involve most of the kids. I try and be very positive. I try and bring them up so we can learn something about basketball and life. So, let me do my job. Number 3 thing. All the phone calls, if you want to call me, try and be positive and try and be a professional when you call them. And they're about your child, aren't they? If you call me, they're about your child. Now, I've had a lot of calls saying, I don't want my kid to know that I called. Well, why are you calling me then? Let's talk to the kid. Let's get it straightened out right away. Because maybe he doesn't know what we're talking about or knows what we're up against. So let's see if we can get it straightened out that way. So it's for the child. We should try and get it straightened out the best we can. 4, I say, call or talk to me in a professional manner and time. I've had some phone calls at 2 o'clock in the night. They're not too pleasant. And I don't know how to handle things like that. You come and talk to me and be personal, and we get to the point, maybe we can get some things straightened out. And I think I'm a pretty easy guy to get along with. Hopefully we can straighten some things out. So talk to me in a professional manner and time. Think of situations. Put yourself in my shoes. Now, if I really blew something and made your kid feel really bad, maybe I do need to be straightened out. Maybe I did make a mistake, and maybe I do need to get my butt chewed for that. But chew my butt and then get it over with. And don't let the kids know about that situation. Or don't be negative to kids if you're mad at me. That brings them down. Example, if I do something, or if you think I really do something wrong, and you're at home saying, that stupid coach, what the heck you call a timeout for here? Then your son at home's going to go, yeah, why did he call a timeout? What a stupid coach. You see how that happens? See how that progresses? So try and be positive in that situation. Next thing, season length. Basketball is very long. Just kind of like this meeting. Right? Basketball is a long season. And as we get through it, we want to be aware of a situation as a coach and as a parent about burnout. Because about the middle of February, I hope we get to the point where the kids aren't saying, God, I hope this is over soon. And if it does, I think we've screwed up or I've screwed up major. So, think about the length. Think about all the games we play. If there's something you can do to get your kid motivated for the games, do it. There's something you can do to get him motivated this season, do it. And I'm going to do the best I can to make sure. Like last year, we played field hockey a couple days in practice. Brian Seaver just killed everybody. It was great. Coaches were playing and everything. That's some of the things that we do. If there's something you can do at home to kind of make sure the kids aren't negative or something like that, do it. So we're talking about season length. We're talking about burnout. Wanting to get the season over with. Okay, the next thing I have is I don't try and overcoach. Now, sometimes I'll set the kids in the right direction. I don't try and overcoach. And maybe sometimes I do overcoach. And then maybe sometimes some parents overparent. Now think about that. The parent that is on the kids, come on, you got to score 20 points a game. You got to do this. You got to shoot more. You don't have to pass that person because they drill it off their shoe anyway. Don't pass them. Man, we're in trouble. So don't overparent. There's a fine line, I think. And to find that fine line, if you ever find that line, write a book because you'll become a millionaire, right? Okay, practice, like I say, should be shorter. And I'm going to try and make them shorter. And the last thing, we talked about player cuts a little bit. I hope I answered your question the best I can. That is one area that has both sides. It really does. But if we look at a situation, we got 28 kids on the court with 2 coaches, and when they get to be a senior, if they can't play varsity ball, you know, we need to be looking at some things. So that's my point. I understand your point, I really do. I understand all points. I have made some cuts that took a lot of slack. But here's the reason for cuts. Sometimes we have a player and there's no cuts, they don't get to play very much, they become very, very negative. And they bring and take people with them. Now, if it's a type of individual that doesn't have a whole lot of talent, but just works his butt off in practice and very pleasant to be around, and there's a role player, you bet, there's a place for them on any of my teams. But if they're a person who is kind of negative and kind of has a bad attitude or something like that, they're probably going to take a couple people with them. That hurts my program. And those are the people that I cut. I'm trying to be as to the point as I possibly can. Next area, open practices. Sunday nights we have open practices. Are they mandatory? No. If you have church things to go to them. I just come down and play. Now the reason we had a Wednesday meeting is because, man, there's no time to do anything nowadays. So I appreciate everybody coming. Next thing I also have is read your child's moods if you can. Now I try and read their attitudes and read their moods the best I can before practices and games so I can kind of learn what motivates them. Because I think that's the key to coaching is how to motivate a kid. You know, does this kid need to be pumped up before a game? You go over there and yell and scream in his ear. This kid over here, you know, you just sit down and talk to him and talk about what he did the night before, the day before, just to kind of calm him down. Every kid has a different mood. And as a coach, we need to read those. You as parents kind of read those too. If they're superstitious, or if you're superstitious, hey, make pork chops for them every night. That's what my mom did. I ate so many pork chops, I tell you. And the last thing I say is give them a hug. And once in a while, just give your kid a hug. Say, good, super job. You know, you gave it your best shot. We probably didn't win the ball game, but you played as hard as you can. Nothing wrong with giving a kid a hug once in a while. Now, some other things we need to talk about, that's just this team right here now. I think this team that we have this year is going to go up. Because we don't have as much experience right now. Like I said, I think only Scott and Travis played Scott played more than anybody, but Travis had a little playing time, Jerry had a little playing time, but not very much. So we need to kind of start from scratch. Just about a zero experience. We need to work on that and build on that. So be patient as parents. And hopefully we can soar and get going up the hill, up the ladder. And I'm talking all JV and everything. Because these juniors last year were sophomores and they were starting on JV. Now all of a sudden they're starting varsity. Big change. So be patient. Within the team, I think some of the players we have are a little too cocky, so I'm going to try and run that out of them right away. So we're going to take care of that. I hope that the players all get along. I think we have some very, very close relationships here, and I think we shouldn't have any problem with that. But you as parents, be concerned about your players getting along. I can see during mid-season sometimes we have some problems that get along. We need to take care of them. If you as parents can see that, try and take care of it right now, saying, hey, this is the way it's got to be. So take care of those little problems with kids getting along. I think girls are worse than guys. So I shouldn't say that. I'm not chauvinist by any means. Really, you know that. 5. Kids' attitudes change. I know these kids are gung-ho this year. They really are. And we have kids talking about basketball. They've been talking about basketball for a long time, and I think that's great. I think we got to the point here where we're setting some standards, and I think it's great the way the kids are enthusiastic about it. And as a coaching staff and as parents, let's stay enthusiastic through the whole year and be very, very positive and try and get something out of it. Something great. It doesn't mean that we have to win districts or regions or state, which would be great, because that's our ultimate goal. It it means having a very successful season, progressing and learning through the whole process. And to close, I have this is something I need to, this is just a little poem. This is just to close. And here's kind of sums it up about a parent and a coach relationship, or a teacher. You guys, because I treat my basketball practices as just like a class. It's a 2-hour class. I dreamed I stood a studio and watched 2 sculptures there. The clay they used was a young child's mind, and they fashioned it with care. One was a teacher. The tools he used were books, music, and art. One was a parent who worked with a guiding hand and a gentle, loving heart. Day after day, the teacher toiled with a touch that was deft and sure, while the parents labored by his side and polished and smoothed it o'er. And when at last their task was done, they were proud of what they had wrought, for the things they had molded into the child could neither be sold or bought. And each agreed it would have failed if each had worked alone, for behind the teacher stood the school and behind the parent the home. Parents are very important. And I think coaches are very important too. So this kind of sums up the way I run my programs. I know maybe I stepped on some people's toes tonight, but we need to get it straightened out right away where I'm coming from, and what I'm up against, and what my objectives are, and what I plan on doing. I'm looking forward to another great season, and I do my best to win as many ball games as we can. I really think 99% of the times I'm a professional in my field. I try and act professional. Sometimes I kick the bleachers or something like that, but that's just my human instinct. And if I do something wrong, or if I upset you in any way, talk to me. Let me know. Let's get the situation straightened out before it gets big. And as parents, let's all get along. As coaches, let's all get along. And as kids, let's make sure they get along. And let's make sure they have some fun, because that's what it's all about too, having some fun. So in conclusion, has anybody got any questions or comments at all?
Do you plan any Saturday practices, and if so, will they know part of it?
They will know in advance if we have. As of right now, I really don't plan on having any Saturday practices.
Hope not.
You don't want Saturday practice, huh?
Well, not in the morning, because I'm in dialysis
Okay.
in the morning.
We might go some.
Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
We might go in some mornings the first couple weeks here, and that'd be at 7 o'clock in the morning. We go for an hour. And it might start like Tuesday. Kids don't even know this yet. So this weekend now, Thanksgiving, is the kids are going to be